It's 40,000 years ago. The sun just dropped below the horizon, and something in your chest tightens before you even understand why. Your legs want to move closer to the fire. Your eyes keep darting to the tree line. You haven't seen anything. You haven't heard anything. But every cell in your body is screaming one word: danger. This isn't a personality trait. This isn't something you learned from a scary movie. This fear is older than language, older than fire itself, and it's still sitting inside you right now, tonight, whether you notice it or not. So why exactly are we so afraid of the dark? The answer takes us back millions of years, and it's more brutal, more logical, and more permanent than you'd expect. Let's start with the obvious. Humans are terrible at seeing in the dark. Compared to almost every predator that ever hunted us, our night vision is embarrassing. Cats, wolves, big cats in general, they all have a layer behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum, a reflective surface that bounces light back through the eye a second time, dramatically boosting night vision. We don't have that. Our eyes evolved for daylight. Color vision, sharp detail, depth perception, all optimized for sunlight, all nearly useless once that sun disappears. Which means for most of human history, the moment darkness fell, our single biggest survival advantage, our ability to see danger coming, simply switched off. Now, pair that with who was actually out there. For millions of years, early hominins lived across savannas and forests, shared with some of the most efficient nocturnal predators on the planet. Lions, leopards, hyenas, saber-toothed cats. These animals didn't just tolerate darkness, they were built for it, evolved specifically to hunt when visibility dropped and prey became slow, confused, and vulnerable. Fossil evidence from sites in Africa shows something chilling. Bite marks on ancient hominin skulls matching the exact jaw spacing of big cats, and puncture patterns consistent with leopards specifically dragging prey up into trees at night. Our ancestors weren't occasionally at risk after dark. For an enormous stretch of prehistory, nightfall was essentially open hunting season, and we were near the bottom of the menu. So think about what that means for natural selection. Individuals who felt nothing when the sun went down, who wandered off casually into pitch blackness without a second thought, those individuals got eaten, repeatedly, across countless generations. Meanwhile, the ones who felt that tightening in the chest, that instinctive pull back toward the group, toward the fire, toward safety, those were the ones who survived long enough to pass on their genes. Fear of the dark wasn't a flaw evolution forgot to fix. It was evolution's solution. A built-in alarm system installed directly into your nervous system, and it worked so well that it's still fully operational in you today, even though the leopards are mostly gone. This is where your amygdala comes in. It's a small almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain, and it's essentially your built-in threat detector. It doesn't wait for confirmed danger. It reacts to ambiguity, to uncertainty, to the possibility of danger, because in the environment it evolved in, waiting for proof was how you ended up dead. In darkness, your eyes send your brain a stream of incomplete, blurry, uncertain information, and your amygdala interprets that uncertainty as a threat by default. That's why a shadow in a dark room can make your heart rate spike before your rational brain even finishes processing what you're looking at. You're not being irrational. You're running software that kept your ancestors alive for millions of years, and it doesn't know the difference between a leopard and a coat rack. Then there's the group itself, because fear of the dark isn't just about predators, it's about isolation. Humans evolved as intensely social animals, and for most of our history, survival meant staying close to the group, especially at night. Wander away from the fire alone, and you lost the safety of numbers, the extra eyes watching for danger, the ability to call for help. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented this directly. People who separate from the camp after dark face measurably higher rates of predator encounters, even today. So your fear of the dark isn't only wired to detect predators, it's also wired to keep you physically close to other humans. Because for nearly all of human history, being alone in the dark was one of the most dangerous positions you could possibly be in. Now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Because fire changed everything, but it didn't erase this fear. It renegotiated it. Once early humans mastered controlled fire, somewhere around 1 million years ago, the equation shifted. A campfire creates a rough 30-foot circle of safety. Inside it, predators generally won't approach. Outside it, the old rules still apply. Fire didn't eliminate our fear of darkness. It gave us a tool to manage it, and that tool became the center of nightly life for hundreds of thousands of years. Which is exactly why, even now, sitting around a fire at night feels primally comforting, while walking alone down a dark, unfamiliar street feels primally wrong. You're not choosing that reaction, you inherited it. Here's the twist that most people never think about. This fear didn't stay purely practical. Over tens of thousands of years, it evolved into something bigger, into myth. Nearly every ancient culture on Earth, independently, developed stories about monsters that come out at night. Demons, spirits, shapeshifters, creatures that hunt in darkness and vanish at dawn. Anthropologists argue these myths weren't random superstition. They were cultural encoding of a very real evolutionary lesson. Night equals danger, wrapped in story form so it could be taught quickly to children who had never personally been stalked by a predator. A story is faster to transmit than trial and trial and error, remember, sometimes ends in death. So the myth became a shortcut, a way to install caution directly into the next generation without anyone having to nearly die first. And that fear didn't just shape stories, it shaped rules. Remember the word curfew? It comes from the Old French couvre-feu, meaning cover the fire, and in medieval towns a bell would ring each night, signaling everyone to extinguish their flames and get indoors. For most of human history, being outside after dark without a very good reason was treated as suspicious, even dangerous, not because of superstition alone, but because darkness genuinely was more dangerous for thousands of consistent years. The instinct got formalized into law. The amygdala got translated into policy. So why does this still matter to you sitting in a well-lit, predator-free apartment in the 21st century? Because your brain doesn't know it's the 21st century. It's still running ancient software on modern hardware. That flicker of unease when you walk into a dark room and reach blindly for the light switch, that instinct to check under the bed as a kid, that primal comfort of a bonfire on a camping trip, none of that is irrational. It's a message from every single ancestor who survived long enough to make you possible, passed down not as a memory, but as a feeling. Tonight, when the sun goes down and that familiar tightness creeps into your chest for just a second before the lights come on, you're not being paranoid. You're listening to the oldest surviving voice in your entire family tree, one that has been getting the message exactly right for a very long time. Darkness was never really the danger. Not seeing what's coming, that was always the real threat. And some part of you has never ever forgotten it.